The silence in the monitoring station on Kepler 442b stretched like a taut wire, broken only by the soft hum of quantum processors analyzing the data stream that had just arrived from the Sol system. Senior communications analyst Zixandra of the Altarian Collective stared at the holographic display with her 6 optical sensors, each one registering a different spectrum of the electromagnetic cascade that had reached them after traveling 1,200 light-years through the cosmic void. "Run the analysis again," she commanded, her telepathic emanations tinged with disbelief. The subordinate technicians, a mix of crystalline Vorthon and gaseous nebular entities, complied without question, their instruments humming back to life. For decades, the Galactic Monitoring Network had been tracking the primitive civilization on the third planet orbiting the yellow dwarf star humans called Sol. Earth's inhabitants had been classified as level 2.3 on the Kardashev civilization scale, barely capable of harnessing their own planet's energy, let alone reaching for the stars in any meaningful way. They were scheduled for first contact protocols in approximately 847 standard galactic years, once they had matured enough to join the greater cosmic community without cultural shock. That timeline had just been obliterated. The signal originated from Earth's lunar satellite, reported technician Morthak, his crystalline form refracting the display's light into prismatic patterns. Initial transmission appeared to be their standard electromagnetic communications, what they call radio waves. But then, Zixandra's consciousness recoiled as the processed data materialized in the holographic space. What had begun as routine human chatter weather reports, entertainment broadcasts, military communications had suddenly transformed into something that defied every xenobiological principle in the collective's databases. The last transmission wasn't words. It wasn't even recognizable as language. It was a scream that had somehow transcended the limitations of electromagnetic spectrum, carrying with it psychic resonances that had registered on quantum consciousness detectors across 17 different star systems. The waveform analysis showed patterns that shouldn't have been possible for a species that hadn't even developed reliable faster than light communication. "Show me the timeline again," Zixandra ordered, her mental voice steady despite the growing unease permeating her consciousness. The holographic display shifted, revealing a chronological breakdown of events as observed from their distant vantage point. At 14:37 Universal Standard Time, routine human transmissions had been flowing normally. At 14:38, the signals had begun to distort. By 14:39, something had happened that the monitoring equipment struggled to categorize. The humans were conducting what they called a deep space listening project, explained Dr. Velkris, the station's xenopsychologist, her ethereal form materializing through quantum fold communication from the collective's home world. "Our preliminary analysis suggests they were attempting to detect extraterrestrial intelligence using primitive radio telescopes." Zixandra's optical sensors focused intently on the data, and they found something. More accurately, Dr. Velkris corrected, something found them. The transmission logs showed the sequence of events with terrifying clarity. The humans had been broadcasting their location, their mathematical understanding, their cultural artifacts, into the cosmos for decades standard behavior, for emerging civilizations seeking contact. But on this day, something had answered. The response hadn't come through normal space. The signal had materialized directly within Earth's atmosphere, bypassing every known law of physics governing electromagnetic propagation. Worse still, it had carried information that the human consciousness wasn't equipped to process. "The scream," Zixandra whispered, her mental emanations barely perceptible. It wasn't just terror. It was recognition. The analysis was undeniable. In the microseconds before Earth's transmissions had ceased entirely, the humans had encountered something that had fundamentally altered their understanding of reality. The psychic resonance embedded in that final transmission carried the unmistakable signature of minds that had been exposed to cosmic truths too vast for their neural architecture to contain. "We're detecting massive electromagnetic anomalies throughout the Sol system," reported another technician, his gaseous form shimmering with anxiety. "Something is interfering with our long-range sensors. We're getting readings that suggest alterations to local spacetime." Zixandra felt the first tendrils of genuine fear creeping through her consciousness. In the collective's databases, there were references to ancient civilizations that had vanished suddenly after making contact with entities from beyond the galactic boundary. The records were fragmented, largely dismissed as mythology, but they all shared common elements: advanced species that had simply stopped transmitting one day, leaving behind only echoes of consciousness-shattering terror. "Ma'am," the communications array operator announced, his crystalline structure resonating with urgency, "we're receiving a new transmission from the Sol system." The bridge fell silent as the message materialized in the holographic display. It wasn't coming from Earth. The planet's electromagnetic signature had gone completely dark. Instead, the transmission originated from the void between Earth and its moon, broadcast on frequencies that defied conventional physics. The message was in perfect Altarian, despite the fact that humanity had never encountered their species. "They know we're watching," the transmission began, the voice carrying harmonics that no human throat could produce. "They know we've been cataloging their progress, measuring their worthiness. The children of Earth have been educated. They understand now what lies in the spaces between stars, what has always been watching, waiting for minds capable of truly seeing." Zixandra's consciousness recoiled as the implications became clear. The humans hadn't been destroyed by their contact with cosmic intelligence, they had been transformed by it. The scream hadn't been their end, but their metamorphosis. "The Sol system is now off-limits to all collective vessels," she commanded, her mental voice carrying the authority of species-wide survival instinct. "Reclassify humanity as Level X unknown variable, and send word to the Galactic Council immediately." As the monitoring station's operators scrambled to comply with her orders, Zixandra stared at the dark space where Earth's signals had once originated. Somewhere in that system, humanity had become something else, something that knew the collective existed and understood far more about the universe than any emerging civilization should. The last transmission hadn't been a scream of ending. It had been a scream of beginning. And now, in the cosmic dark, something that had once been human was screaming back at the stars, with knowledge that would remake or destroy everything it touched.